All right, let's keep going. So we got a little confused when we got to the point where we were going to answer these kinds of questions. So when x equals 0, if we look back up here, we can see that this point right here has x equal to 0. And that's one of the ways to define a y-intercept, is when x is equal to 0. So since we see that they have the same x, they would then therefore have the same y. The other way to look at that is that the y-axis is when x is equal to 0. And so where it crosses over the y-axis, that is where you want to find the value. So if x is 0, y is -2. I do want to keep this on here just so we can see that. Okay, so same idea here, except for it's giving you that y is -5. So we need to find y is -5. Well, we can see here, this line right here is where y equals -5. And the parabola crosses that line in two different places. So actually, there's going to be two different answers, two different points. One of them is at x equals 1. The other one is at x equals -3. And so the answer to this could be 1, right? Or it could be -3. Both are the answer. And I think you would have to be able to understand that both are an answer in order to get full credit for that. Keep in mind, CeCe, that each part of this is only one small part of what you need to know. So if that's not making a ton of sense, I don't want you to get anxious about it. I want you to be proud of yourself for understanding everything else we talked about. So x equals 4, then y equals what? So again, we're looking for the other part of the point when x is 4. Looking back up in our other points, we don't see it anywhere. So we have to go up here and say, okay, x is 4 right here. And I can see that it crosses the parabola right here. That's when y is equal to 9. So the point that is on the graph at x equals 4 is at y equals 9. So coming down here again, we'd say 4, 9 is the answer to that question. You could also just put 9 right there, just like, you could do that for all of this. For this one, you'd have to be 1, and then you could do like -3 or something like that if you wanted to. Okay, so then the last one, same as what we did over here, right, where it gives you a y. We want to know, what does x equal if y equals -3? And we're looking at the blue parabola. And here, we can actually see, right, y equals -3 in this point. And so we could put -2 in there just based off of that point. But also, we can see that y equals -3 right here. And y equals 2 is the x value at that point. All right, so, did I put -2? That's +2. Okay, well, this should be a +2 then. My bad. Okay, no big deal. So here's the next part. This is going to be tricky. So put on your algebra hat and get ready. Also, I'm going to be teaching you a couple of tricks on your calculator. Make sure you have this calculator downloaded. It's calculator hashtag. It's like a little blue equal sign kind of looking thing. It's going to be super helpful so that you get the answer correct. I'm going to move my face so that I'm not covering that up. There we go. Okay, so quadratic formula, this is something that pretty much everybody remembers from high school. It's one of those things that, we teach students for a really, really long time, and it's how do you find the X intercepts right? How do you find these answers here using algebra instead of using a visual graph? Because you're not always going to have a graph. So the reason why it's an x-intercept is because you can see here that the y value is 0, right? Usually equations say y equals x squared minus 7x minus 8. Well, once you have a 0 over there, you can start solving using the quadratic formula. I don't want to get too deep into this, but the reason why you can't just solve this like being like plus 8, and then like plus 7, you know, like we would normally. The reason why you can't do that is because you have an x squared and you have an x. So with two different terms that are not like terms, you can't combine them together. You'll never get x alone. So really rushed explanation on why we need to use this formula. This formula allows you to solve for x without having to solve an equation. It's like a formula, like it'll solve the equation for you. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes, you can do it. Let's get started. So the first thing you need to do in order to use this formula is you need to find the three values. There's going to be an A, there's going to be a B, and there's going to be a C. Looking back up here, you can see that the A is in front of the x squared, the B is in front of the x, and actually you want the symbol also with it, and then the C is the number without an x. Looking back here, we can see that there's no number in front of here, but we know, because we're smart, that there's a secret one. Looking here, we can see that the B value is going to be -7. And looking right here, we can see that the C value is -8. Don't forget to grab those negatives with the numbers. You always need to have the negative with the number there. All right, and now we just need to plug it into the formula. So I'm going to rewrite the formula here, and then I'm going to be replacing the different parts of the formula with the numbers that we need. So this is b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Your use of parentheses needs to be really good. You need to be using parentheses like you've never used them before. Extra parentheses, please. Just like I like extra cheese on my pizza. Okay, so we got x equals, instead of having the negative, the b there, okay, I'm gonna approach this a little differently. Okay, so instead of having the b here, I'm gonna replace that b with the -7. But I'm going to put it into parentheses. So there's this negative here, and then I put -7 in for that b value. Now I see there's another b on the line here. So you put -7 there as well. Don't forget that squared, I'm kind of squishing things in. No more b's to plug in. Let's find the a. So the a is 1, pretty easy. Just replace the a with a 1 in parentheses. Always plug in using parentheses. It's the best way to avoid making mistakes. There's only one c in this formula, so you're going to put that c in there. So it looks a little messy right now. And then there's one other thing that I want to talk about. There's a plus and there's a minus. That's because sometimes, if you look back up here, you get 2 x-intercepts. So you're going to do this formula twice. Once is going to be with the plus, and once is going to be with the negative. Okay, so I'm going to plug this into the calculator just because I'm going to kind of show you how to cheat a little bit. Don't tell anyone. So we got a negative, parenthesis, -7 there. I'm going to do the plus first. And then I have a square root button, parenthesis, -7, parenthesis, squared, -4, 1, -8. All right, so that's everything that's on the top. of the fraction, come down onto the bottom, pressing the down button. Oh, it's not working, so I'm just gonna tap down there. And I do 2, and then I put 1 in parentheses, and I press equal. So that means that 8 is one of the X intercepts. Now, instead of having to retype that whole thing again with a negative, you can just press the up button on your calculator and then go back all the way through and change the plus to a minus. And that's -1. So in order to prove to Mr. Houston that you're showing your work, I mean, this right here should be enough to show your work. But maybe it's something where you'd want to take a screenshot of this and then put it into, or no, because it's a Schoology test. So never mind, you don't have to show your work. All right. So I think we have enough time to do one more example. Let me see, what's a really good one here? I think this one would be the best one to do in this example because it looks like there's not enough information, but there is. So we have first step, find the A, find the B, find the C. The A is 1. B is the number that's in front of the X, right? So in this case, oh no. Okay, sorry, got that fixed. So we're looking for a B value. So remember, the B value is the number that's in front of the X, right? Well, there's no X. There's only an X squared, and then there's a -4. So that means that there's actually 0 X's. And so B is 0. All right, and then C is -4. Make sure that you're grabbing the symbol to the left. I could put in +0, but right, that doesn't matter. I could put in +1, but that doesn't matter. So if it's a negative, make sure you grab it and bring it along. All right, so again, I am going to write out the formula. And actually, I think I'm the laziest person in the world, so I'm going to try and do it this way. Watch me. Watch me fudge this up. Let's see. All right, let's see how this works. So our B is 0, so I'm going to put 0 in for B. Put 0 in for B there. My A is 1, right? We always want to put it in parentheses, so putting in 1 for A, 1 for A. And then our C value is -4, so I put in -4 for C. And then all I need to do is just basically type in those questions. So what I can do, it's nice to be able to tap in your calculator too, is I can just replace these values with, you know, the values that I want, and then I don't ever have to, I don't have to retype. Okay, so it's not going super well. If I wanted to do the plus first, I could change that. 0. 4A is 1, and this is a -4, and then 2 times 1 on the bottom. Cool. So I press equal, so that means X is equal to 2 is one of my answers. Going back in, I'm just tapping in the spot that I want to change. I can just change that to a minus, and I got X equals -2 as my answer. And I'm just about out of time on my free version of the recording software. Mr. Houston put a key onto Schoology in this optional review. So try the other 2 examples on your own and check your answer in the optional review. Good luck. Feel free to reach out if you need more help.